Hi, friends. I'm your host, Analia Pucciarella, and you're listening to Brightly Becoming Podcast. I created this with a goal that anyone who listened could feel a little more seen and heard, no matter what season of life they're in. Becoming who you're called to be isn't easy, and it's a little messy. So let's navigate the beautiful process of becoming together. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having an incredible weekend. I had such a special birthday. I really did. And I think it was because I, for the first time, allowed myself to be celebrated. And that looked a couple different ways. And I'm going to talk about that today. So, yeah, let's get into it. I don't even know where to begin. I think I had such a different perspective. I know last week I was sharing how I don't really like to be celebrated and, the running into disappointment and expectations. But I really just surrendered and allowed myself to be celebrated. I think dealing with chronic illnesses, living with them per se, you're kind of taught that every year is a blessing. And you may be thinking, well, yeah, Analia, of course every year is a blessing, but it's a little bit different when you have chronic illnesses, not to single anyone out who's listening, who's not in that situation. However, it's so easy to just take for granted the next day that we get on earth, when in reality that could be our last and we wouldn't even know it. And so for me, I'm choosing to now look at birthdays as just one more blessing in my life. One more blessing that I got, one more year on this earth. And when you reframe it like that, it's exciting to be celebrated. It really is. I think I'm just not used to being comfortable being in the spotlight. Anytime I've ever been in this spotlight, whether that was growing up or even as an adult, it just felt like I needed to give it to someone else. I needed to pass the baton to someone else to take over the spotlight. I almost felt guilty for being in the spotlight, or like I didn't deserve to be there maybe, even though that's not the case now. I know that I deserve good things. It's just such a mindset shift that you have to apply. And again, it goes for more than just birthdays. It really does, because I applied it to the whole weekend. I told myself, why would I feel that I don't deserve this? Why would I feel that I don't deserve to have people celebrate my accomplishments and everything I've overcome in just the last year, let alone 2 years in such a short time? It truly feels like this is one of the last pieces of self-sabotage that I was holding on to. I think deep down, a part of me didn't want to celebrate my birthday because if everything feels too good, it gets overwhelming, because I'm like, oh my gosh, when is it going to hit the fan? Like, when is something going to go wrong? And so lately I've just been applying this mindset of it's okay to celebrate things. Because even if you feel disappointed at the end of the day, that feeling is not unsafe. It's just uncomfortable, and you can get through uncomfortable things. I think next time you go through a situation where you ended up disappointed, whether that's from somebody else, from yourself, from any expectation that you had, remind yourself, okay, yeah, this sucks. No one likes to feel disappointed, but is it really so bad? You always come out of it. So just some food for thought. God has been answering so many of my prayers. And when I tell you, I've always been the person to clap for others. I've always been the person to kind of secretly envy people whose lives appear to be looking like the prayers that I've prayed that haven't been answered in the past. When I tell you that is me. Like, that is the friend I am. That is the type of friend I am. I refuse to be anything else. And let me tell you, your turn will come. If you're listening and you're that friend where you're just clapping for everyone else, you're looking to your left and looking to your right, and there's just people who are getting their prayers answered wherever you turn, your turn is next. Like, you can't live your life just kind of going around thinking, oh, this is never going to happen to me. why wouldn't it happen to you? Like, why are you allowing yourself to feel like the exception here? Why are you allowing yourself to feel like you don't deserve these things? Good things will happen to you. Good things can happen to you. Just because your friend has a great life and is getting everything that they received in prayer does not mean that that's not going to happen to you. I think so often we think, oh my gosh, I've been praying for everyone else. I've been seeing everyone's prayers being answered. They've got what they really wanted. And when is it going to be my turn? Your turn is just around the corner. I cannot even tell you how many times I used to think this. It was insane. Before I met my boyfriend, I was so convinced that there was no one on this earth for me. Was that a little dramatic? Yeah, maybe. However, it felt very true at the time. To think that everyone around you is allowed to have their prayers answered, but you will never have your prayers answered is the biggest cognitive distortion you could possibly think. One of the biggest cognitive distortions that you could possibly think. Because what you end up doing is you just end up isolating yourself from all your friends. You end up isolating yourself from all these people, sometimes even building resentment, right? We don't mean to, but when we see someone who has what we want, has what we've been praying for so long, all we can help but feel is jealous and resentful toward that person. We don't even mean to do it. It's just human to feel that way. But I am living, breathing proof that you cannot receive answered prayers from God until you're with what you want to get. Like, you cannot receive answered prayers. I'm trying to work this in my brain here. You cannot receive answered prayers of expansion and an upgrade and until you learn to be happy with what you have. God gives you these things as tests to then see if you can handle more. How do you handle that small little change in your life when you're praying for a large one? Because if you mishandle the small change, God's not going to just hand you over the large change that you've been praying for. I was unemployed for almost 2 years, I believe, due to my health. I never saw this job coming. It is truly my dream job. I love it so much. I love that I get to listen to people's stories all day. I love that I get to openly share my faith and it's not shamed upon in my work environment at all. I just love what I do. And did I ever see this job coming? No, I did not. I never ever saw this job coming. When I tell you I was about to give up looking for a job. But it gets to a point when you start to look back at the little things that were given to you that you never really fully appreciated. When you get to that point, you realize those were all tests sent from God. They were. He wanted to see how you handled this small thing before he gave you the big one that you never saw coming. And for me, lately it's been, okay, great. God's answering my prayers. This is exciting and scary and beautiful and terrifying all at the same time. But who am I after these prayers are answered? Who am I after these prayers are answered? If you're like me and maybe you grew up with health issues or you have a chronic illness, or you don't even have to have a chronic illness. If you grew up feeling that you were tied to one identity and then that identity completely disappears, you're left not knowing who you are. The weirdest thing is, it's not weird, but I'm starting to know who I am outside of my health issues. And that is so exciting, but also, again, it's scary because it's brand new. When you go your whole life feeling tied to this one identity because it feels within alignment to you. It feels like exactly everything that you are. And then that's taken away. It's so discomforting and it's so challenging to really pull back the layers and figure out who it is that you are when that doesn't exist. I'm at the point in my life where someone could name something. For example, someone could say the word production, someone could say the word music, and instantly that just feels like the core of who I am. Maybe it's a color that feels like you. Maybe it's a hobby that feels like you. For me, it's creativity. It's singing, painting, playing guitar, writing music, anything creative, production, like all of that. That is the core of who I am. And no one can take that away from you. No one can take that away from you. It's been really interesting because my job makes me feel normal. And then when I log off at night, I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm back to reality. It's like, I don't know. I just love to be kept occupied. I love when I have, I guess, distractions. I love when like my brain is distracted. But then I log off at night and I'm just like, oh my gosh, back to reality. Like, and that's so opposite, right? Like, but how blessed am I to love my job that much that I genuinely feel a little sad logging off at night. I think it's just because I get to talk to people all day long, hear their stories, find out if they're a good fit for the network that I work for. It's such an incredible job. But I think my point is God couldn't have given me this job until I had a difficult 2 years of my life. When I tell you the way that I connect with people in this job, like I'm meeting people who are Christians. I'm meeting people who don't even know God, and then they walk away from our call and they just feel heard and seen. And that is the best possible gift in my mind that I can give someone, is I can make someone feel seen. I can make someone feel heard, appreciated, loved, valued, whatever that may be. That is ultimately my favorite way to show love. Like that is my love language. I can see myself giving TED Talks one day. Like I had someone the other day tell me, oh, you should be a life coach. I was like, that feels like something I would do. Like that feels like something I would genuinely want to do. How crazy is it that when something so catastrophic happens in our lives, we're used to chaos. When we start to branch out of that, it's so beautiful because I'm looking back and I'm realizing I would have mishandled the you know what out of this job. Like I would have mishandled it if it was given to me any sooner. God's perfect timing, it really does exist. It really does. Let's just say hypothetically I didn't have the health issues I had before I got this job. Would I still have the ability to see people the way I do? Would I have the ability to speak life into people the way I do? Probably not. I would still be me, but I don't think I would be nearly as resilient as I've learned to be, as I've grown to be. So maybe we just start viewing every little step as valuable. Like I say, the 1% better. That's what matters because it adds up. It really does. When I tell you, I cannot even fathom the level and the amount of overall progress that I have made within my health in just the last couple months. I'm adapting to change. I'm getting back into a routine. I'm feeling quote unquote normal again. I hate that word, but it's so true. Like I have felt normal working my job. And it's such a blessing. We take so much for granted and we don't even realize it until something happens and our whole world turns upside down. And then you're like, man, I wish I appreciated that more. But you'll never get to be this version of you again, so you may as well sit in it, take everything you can from it, and just do your best to remain grateful every day. Because that 1% better is going to add up, and eventually you're going to look back and see all of the little prayers God answered that led you to your ultimate big prayer. You deserve for good things to happen to you. Just because it's happening to someone else does not mean it won't happen to you. Stop saying you're the exception. It's never going to happen to you. It will. You just have to be patient. Thank you for listening. I would love if you shared your story and your feelings on this week's episode in the comments. Remember, it doesn't matter what season of life you're in because you're not behind, you're becoming. I'm really proud of you and I'm right there with you. I'll see you next week.